So test. Everyone can hear me? Hi everyone. I guess like good afternoon, and it's already almost the time to say good night in my time zone. But anyway, thank you everyone for coming. Let's prepare to start. Give me please a second. Alright, I'm gonna just double check whether everyone can hear me. And we're gonna start. Give me a second please. Alright, so yeah, I have a confirmation that everything is fine in terms of the sound and in terms of the picture. So let's start. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Phil. I'm the managing partner of a company called Cage Bitcoin. Cage Bitcoin is the project of ICO Box. ICO Box is quite well-known company on the market. We've been on the crypto space for more than 2 years. We've done our own ICO. And we covered with ICO Box, we covered more than 100 projects, helping to raise more than $650 million into their ICO. So like we have quite a big experience on the crypto field. And beginning of this year, we decided to start development of the new project called Cage Bitcoin. And Cage Bitcoin is an OTC agency, and from my point of view, we managed to gain some considerable results for this limited time. We have already more than 1,000 potentially interested in the deals people. We have more than 100 buyers with the proof of funds ready. We have more than 50 people in our chain that are calling themselves intermediaries, agents. Actually, like already more. So we verified around like 65 people, and altogether with not verified people, we have more than 100 people that are pledging themselves to be agents. We have actually 11 managers that are talking in 5 languages. So we are covering like most of the regions. So we talk to buyers all over the world. We talk with buyers in APAC region, in EMEA, in America. We have a person in South Korea, in Hong Kong, in Moscow, in America, in Spain, in Egypt. So like all over the places. And of course, we pay a lot of attention to the legal solutions of the crypto OTC, and we have 3 professional lawyers that have an experience which is super unique, which have an experience in crypto OTC field. They have an experience in building the contract. We know how to do them, these documents. We know how to prepare the document frameworks. So we are quite valuable for the sellers that want to get to the crypto and OTC space. Let's get to just a short introduction on who we are and what we do, and let's get to the point, and let's talk about the bank-to-bank offers and what is that, and what kind of issues it is resolving, and how it can actually help us to work in a more comfortable way, and to close more deals, bring more buyers, and get profits. So recently we hear more and more information about the sell offers, which are based on the bank-to-bank deals, which sometimes called bank escrow, and that are offering MT760, MT799, MT103 instruments. MT760 sometimes is bank guarantee or SBLC or collateral guarantee. There are also some offers like that are working based on tier sheet, And so, like recently we more and more hear about the opportunities to use bank instruments and bank instruments in order to buy and sell crypto. These offers usually offer considerable discounts. They are pleading themselves as the replacement of escrows in their quite well-known way of usage in crypto OTC. These offers are always saying that they're very safe and secure for both sides, for the seller and for the buyer side, and actually they're quite profitable. Let's talk slightly about like how the crypto OTC market looks like now, right? So basically we have quite a lot of buyers. Like for instance, if we actually compare the number of buyers and sellers that we have in our own network, then it's actually the difference is just incredible. So we have like we have more than requests to buy crypto are coming all over the place, look like on the daily basis. As I told you at the very beginning of the presentation, we have more than 100 buyers with proof of funds and with the documents proving these funds, of course. I'm talking about the documents. And we have quite limited number of sellers. So like I've been in a couple of meetings just yesterday, and one seller says that actually only an insane person is going to sell bitcoins right now. So everyone is actually like everyone in their own minds, they're going to hold bitcoins and they don't want to actually to sell it because it doesn't give any profits. Of course, there are some companies like Chinese farmers that are ready to do that. They're ready to sell out the bitcoins. There are some other cases as well, but like generally, of course, selling bitcoins at the current prices is not something really reasonable. So first, we have a huge discrepancy, a huge difference between the number of sellers and the buyers. Definitely the demand is way higher. Then the second problem is the security. Of course, buyers and sellers, because of a lot of scam and a lot of fraud on the market, everyone is trying to protect themselves. And definitely there are some troubles with the securities of both sides, and crypto OTC is not now giving any kind of solid solution to that. Of course, there are trading desks. Of course, there are escrows. But if the seller wants to monetize and to use their own procedures, then it's definitely some sort of security issues for the other side, for the counterparty. Certainly, there is some kind of troubles and issues with the price. So like it's a very popular thing that buyers are searching for the discount deals, and they're searching at the same time for escrow deals. So they want discount deal on a tier 1 escrow, and it's not something that is working like that you can actually find very easily. So sometimes, of course, probably real offers come up like that, but in reality we run around like almost 10 offers with discounts on the tier 1 escrows, and 10 out of 10 became to be a fake. This is our own experience. So like in reality we can actually conclude that there are no real sellers and real sell offers on the tier 1 escrow with a discount. So price is definitely an issue. And of course procedures. Procedures is these questions about chicken and egg. Who is going to make the first step? Who is going to disclose the information first? The KYC, etc., etc. So it's it's a pain in the neck, and it's a big issue. Everyone is trying to chase their own procedures. Buyers are trying to push for their procedures, and they consider their procedures as the most safe, while sellers don't want to to do anything with the buyer's procedures due to their own experience. So it's a mess, it's a mess, and it's all the time, these procedures and these kind of issues are just killing the market. And I guess a lot of agents, they are coming across with this troubles and problems. Though definitely there is a solution to that, and the solution is stated in the offers of the sellers that are using bank escrows and bank-to-bank transactions. So why? First, they say that they are ready to resolve security issues because they're ready to send bitcoins upfront. Second point is the pricing. and bank-to-bank offers, bank-to-bank selling offers are very appealing in terms of the discounts. We can easily see like 5, 7, 10% growth, and definitely there is a huge room for the intermediaries to make money, and for the buyers team as well, to do to get something and actually to be interested in doing these deals. And actually, the third thing that this offers saying to resolve is the simplicity. So they're bringing the simplicity to the market, because the buyer understands how MT760 works, or what is the how the bank instruments, this MT103, MT799, this kind of stuff, how they work. Then it resolves a lot of things, because you don't need to build a very complicated procedures. So the bank itself that is used for the transaction is actually enabling this. You simplify the whole procedure, and the whole procedure is just based on the bank and the transfer, and they're very standard. If you're gonna study the bank-to-bank offers, most of them are pretty much the same, and they are really simple. So if the buyer understands what is bank-to-bank, and he is comfortable, or she is comfortable with working using bank-to-bank, then they're gonna have, in most of the cases, these buyers are going to have very standard procedures from different sellers. We should actually talk about one very interesting phenomena, and phenomena is that there is a kind of a combination between trade and OTC. I don't know how many people out of those watching me know what is trade, but definitely I come across with a lot of people on this market that definitely know what is trade, what is monetization of the bank instruments, and this kind of stuff. And the trade itself and monetization of the bank instruments is on the market for a lot of years, way before the crypto OTC appeared, definitely. And the question is like, what is the kind of match between the trade and the OTC market? And the answer is very simple. The Bitcoin as an asset brought a lot of companies that started to accumulate and consolidate big amounts of money on their accounts in order to invest in Bitcoins. And definitely this situation is ideal for the traders that know how to monetize bank instruments. And it's very easy. So Bitcoins bring the situation where a lot of companies are bringing the money on the accounts, more like millions of dollars on the accounts. Traders know what to do with that, and so it's very natural for them to offer bank monetization instruments, and in return and sell the Bitcoins and offer and use actually the Bitcoins as an asset and a reason to enter the trade. So makes complete sense from our point of view. And so definitely there is some kind of connection and there is a nice combination, beautiful combination between the trade and the crypto OTC, and it's quite obvious from our point of view that the crypto OTC invited in a way traders and trading companies that know how to monetize bank instruments onto the market, and they started to offer Bitcoins. Let's talk quite briefly about the way how the trade works. I mean, those interested, they can actually search the information on the internet. There are some, not so much, because it's quite closed information, but in any way you can find something. But be careful when you're gonna search the information on the internet. Just try to be selective, because there are so many information about scam and fraud, and actually you can be misled a little bit about the bank monetization, and you could think, based on what Google says on a couple of websites, you can misled that it's all not real, it's fake. though it's not. So and actually been verifying that I've been verifying that personally with a couple of my people I know that are working in banks with bank guarantees, etc., etc. So it's quite interesting. But anyway, the way how the trade works specifically in crypto OTC is quite simple. So first of all, the buyer should either maintain or block funds, and by doing the block or by doing a maintaining of a certain level of funds on his account, he's actually withdrawing money from the world economy turnover. Then the bank of the seller is mirroring these amounts usually for a social project that are prepared well in advance. And then because there is a project and there is a mirroring and money are blocked on the buyer's account, so you understand that actually the money, it's not like the credit line, like a lot of usually think that the credit line is directly done based on collateral or based on a block. No, it's not like that. It's actually the bank of the seller is actually mirroring the same amount of money on their accounts, and actually then they apply for a leverage for a specific project that they prepared in advance. And the programs that they do is actually are quite simple in a way. They don't trade as we used to do, as we understand this word. So they don't actually trade in terms of stock market or forex, this kind of stuff. So what they do, they are reselling the liquidity, and this reselling of the liquidity is done with the leverage. The reselling of the liquidity is a very low risk thing, and it's a very low margin. So they usually do like 0.1, 0.2 per week, which is the maximum. And the actual profit that the trading companies can do based on that, is based on the leverage. And leverage is the essential thing to understand that. So it's low risk, it's a very low margin, but because the leverage is possible here, the profit becomes very considerable. So by doing that and by gaining the profit from the market, traders are ready to sell bitcoins with a certain discount. Very easy. So discounts are coming from the profit from the trade, and profit on the trade is coming from the leverage, and it's risk-free because it's the reselling of liquidity to AAA companies, to countries. So it's not related to any kind of trade in the normal meaning of this word. Let's imagine a situation. So in order to make it simple, let's imagine a situation, and this situation should actually in a way explain how the trade work and what is the essential meaning of the trade. So imagine that you have a car buyer, and the car buyer is ready to buy a car for 25k, right? And there is a car seller that you found who is ready to sell you the car for 20k, right? So you prepare the old document framework for both sides, and the document framework do not enable them to quit out of the trade. Plus, you trust this party so much that it's not possible for them to make the deal off. So it's always kind of, so you trust the buyer, you trust the seller, plus you prepare the document framework. So it's all prepared well in advance. So when you do the deal, when actual car is sold, what happens? You actually make 5k immediately, right? If you apply a leverage to that, then you're gonna get profit not of 5,000, but you're gonna get the profit of 50,000. And the trade, in the very essential part of it, is actually doing the same. So there is a seller, there is a buyer, and the seller is the buyer are obliged by the agreements to buy and sell, and then you actually find the trader who is ready to proceed with the trade, and then the immediate profit comes up specifically, and the profit is quite considerable because of the leverage. So this is how the trade itself works. If you guys have any questions on some details, we can actually talk about that one-on-one. It's not a problem, but if I'm gonna talk about that a lot on the webinar, it's gonna take a lot of time. So now it's going to be quite simple. So let's try to sum up. about the two worlds, right? About OTC and about the trade. So traders are using bitcoins as an asset. Very obvious. Bitcoin has enormous demand right now, and it makes complete sense why bitcoins may be used as an asset. Because Bitcoin is an asset, it can be exchanged to an instrument like MT760, like internal block, like MT760 SBLC, or MT799 in very rare cases. So when it works like that, the profit, because of the leverage, which is very important, may come up to 25% weekly, which is an enormous amount. And this profit enables, first, it actually make it super interesting for the traders to come over to this market. Second, it gives the buyer the ability to get huge discounts. Sometimes there are some with the discount of 100%. Usually it actually happens with MT760 collateral guarantee, which is done for more than a year. And actually, if you are able to verify and to vet the seller, then there is a chance it's not a fake. I don't want to tell you that all the offers on the market which are describing 100% discounts are not fake. Of course, it's not true. But if there is a considerable seller that you can actually vet and that can be that you can actually do due diligence on, then give it a try. Do the due diligence, and probably you found the gold. It can easily happens. It can easily happen. Sorry. So yeah. Let's talk about the real examples. So we talked about the trade, we talked about us a little bit. So let's talk about real examples. So we have on our list, if you're gonna check our Telegram channel or you're gonna talk to us directly, we're gonna tell you about two offers: ID12 and ID17. ID12 is the company is investing is a trading company. It's based in Spain. It's registered in Hong Kong, but the seller himself, he lives in Spain, in Barcelona. So we know them personally. I know these guys personally as well. And actually, they are dealing with HSBC Hong Kong, so one of top 10 banks. There is also another offer, ID17. The seller is a fintech company. They have huge experience in trading. They are based in Boston, and the offer is actually in a way done by us because it's a perfect combination of trade of a trading offer, bank monetization offer with the crypto OTC. Because in this particular offer, the bitcoins are going to be purchased by us, and we are going to actually send the bitcoins to the buyer. Let's talk slightly and cover slightly the procedures of these two sellers. The procedures of the seller of the Spanish seller ID12 is quite easy. It like in terms of the bullet points. So first, the seller is asking for MT760 collateral guarantee for 13 months, which is quite serious, definitely. Then once the MT760 is done, the buyer doesn't need to pay anything, so he only blocks money on his own account. Also, the verbiage of MT760 is super flexible. We're going to talk about this slightly later. So it's only a block. So the block is done on the verbiage and on the contract. So once the block is done, on the contract there is a certain schedule which is negotiated every time with the buyer. And according to the schedule, the buyer is starting to receive the bitcoins. The bitcoins are going to be completely sent over to the buyer in 42 banking days. So in 2 months, the buyer is going to get all the bitcoins that are written on the contract. MT760 in 13 months is going to be released, and so once it's released, then it's the time for the buyer to pay for the bitcoins. And of course, the exchange rate is going to be done according to the buyer willingness. So like probably is going to fix the exchange rate based on the time where the contract has been signed. In case of increase, it's going to be decreased. In case of decrease, it's going to stay on the same level. So it's quite flexible. the ID17, the offer number 2, is even simpler because buyer is only is asked to maintain a certain level of money on his account. Kindly note that the account should be from a top bank, so it couldn't be a very small bank, but it could be reviewed like that. But it's not necessarily that the seller is going to do like that and to work with a company that doesn't have an account in top 100 banks. The minimum amount to keep on the account is 5 million US dollars. So if you actually manage to keep this level and you manage to proceed with KYC and due diligence is successful, then you're starting to get bitcoins upfront again, as in any bank-to-bank offer, as in most of bank-to-bank offers. The buyer starting to get bitcoins upfront, which is super. So you actually don't need to send money anywhere. You only apply for the KYC. You do it like the seller is doing his own due diligence on the buyer's company. Then the buyer is only actually asked to keep the level of a certain amount on the account. And based on the tier sheet is a bank statement with the contact of bank officers. The buyer can actually get bitcoins. Again, it's all stated on the contract. The schedule is fixed in the contract. If buyer for some reason decides to withdraw money from his account, then it's also possible. But in this case, the contract is going to be cancelled automatically. When you're gonna give this kind of information to the market, everyone is going to say, like, the first impression is going to be, wow, it's like it's too good to be true, it's not possible. So you're going to hear that. And of course, a lot of people are going to talk about risks. Let's cover the risks. We try to find out, to create the list of risks in a way, right, that are frequently asked, and most probably you're gonna hear these risks from every buyer or every mandate that you're gonna talk to. So why it's risk-free? First, in both offers, money are going to stay on the account. It's very important because there are a lot of offers where you actually need to send money first upfront, because Bitcoin is definitely revocable. So sellers, 90% of the sellers, they're asking to send fiat money upfront, right? Second, if we talk about MT760, then the MT760 verbiage is actually, for those people that do not know what is verbiage and how it looks like, the verbiage is actual text of MT760, which is encoded into the Swift and is kept by the bank officers. So MT760 verbiage is tightly connected to the contract and to the schedule of the Bitcoin tranches. It is also very important because according to the verbiage, if there is a breach of the Bitcoin's transfers, even like the first tranche is not done according to the schedule or is not done according to the amount which is indicated on the agreement, then what it means, and it's written on the verbiage. Again, I want to stress it one more time. It's written on the verbiage and it's kept in the banks. The MT760 should be cancelled. So the seller is going to risk a lot, because if seller is actually preparing the trade, he definitely pays a lot of commissions to do that. And if he doesn't if he doesn't perform in a way, he is going to lose MT760. It's very important. It's also risk-free because, of course, there is a non-performance clauses on the agreements. There are non-performance bounds. If we talk about ID12, it's 5% for both sides. Whether it's like seller or buyer is not performing, then 5% should be paid to the side that was ready to perform. The contract is always vetted by 2 bank officers. So as I said, in this particular offer, top banks should be used, and top banks are going to vet the contract and are going to vet, of course, the MT760. And of course, if you're gonna ask us to get acquainted with the seller, you're gonna see that the seller is a regulated, legit company with a license to have an access to the trading platform of HSBC. It costs a lot. It's like around like $30 million. So sometimes I come across with some some rookie questions like what's gonna be if the seller is not paying us bitcoins. It's not possible because if the seller is not paying the bitcoins, the seller is going to risk the reputation, and the reputation is the most valuable thing here. Uh, so yeah, so these are the main things why ID12 is risk-free. With ID17, the answer to the question why it's risk-free is even simpler. Money are not even blocked on the account, so they don't need to do anything at all with money until they're gonna get the bitcoins. So the only thing they're gonna need to do is actually keeping the necessary level of the fiat money on the account. That's all. And so if you're gonna probably we can actually cover this on the question and answer session, but I don't see any single reason why this offer ID17 might be risky for the buyer. At least I haven't yet come across with this kind of questions. Anyway, let's see. Probably you're gonna figure out something. All offers, we've been talking about this at the very beginning, are very appealing in terms of the commission and fees. And so the obvious answer to why myself, like why you agents, people that are involved into the crypto market as intermediaries, should be interested in this kind of offers. The answer is very easy because of the commissions. The commission here is fixed and it's 5%. And for instance, if we talk about $100 million, then we definitely talk about like 5 million commission, which is going to be split at 50-50. 50% to the sell side, meaning cash Bitcoin, and 50% to you. 2.5 million for one single deal, which is quite risk-free, and is actually definitely possible to sell, specifically to people that know what is trade and how it works. I guess it's definitely worth trying. In terms of the next step for both offers, it's very easy. So if you need, we can actually sign in TND. Then you explain what is trade. If it's ID12, you explain what is MT760. We can actually set up the call, a Zoom call, a chat, whatever you like. We can also, try to persuade and explain how it works. But usually, if the buyer knows what is trade, it doesn't actually, it's not necessary to explain that. With ID12, the only very basic CIS is needed in order for the seller to check whether they can actually invite a buyer to the trading program. If there is a green light for the trading program, then face-to-face profit. Very easy. With ID17, it's also quite easy. Of course, like in TNDA, what is trade, monetization, etc., etc. Then it's only a KYC package, which is quite. I don't want to say it's super complicated. It's quite standard. So people that know how to work with in the finance department, it's not a big deal for them to fill in the KYC. So once KYC is done, due diligence is done, there is a green light. Then we are there. We are on the step 6, and we're ready to get money. Every tranche, intermediaries are going to get paid, and the buyer is going to get his bitcoins. So yeah, so this is it for now in terms of the offers, and I'm ready for the questions. Yes, the transaction can actually take place in like anywhere, so we are not limited in terms of the location. So I'm gonna just repeat the question. So the question is from Steven. So our client wants to buy more than 10k BTC. Can the transaction take place in Hong Kong? Yes. It definitely can be. If we talk about ID12, the one with MT760, then the actual legal entity of the seller is registered in Hong Kong, and the face-to-face can be done there, which probably might be even easier for your buyer. With the ID17, the place doesn't matter. So you just you prepare your KYC according to the standard list of the documents, and once the KYC done, then you're free to go. You're free to start. All right. Not so many. Yeah, I see one question. Yeah, it's like, thank you for the question. So, like, MT760 is the actual transfer of an instrument. How money is still safe after I have already sent it to you. Look, don't know your name. So, look, it's not true. It's the way how MT760 is considered by a lot of people, but it's not true. Actually, I've made some. I've heard so many. I've heard so many different opinions about MT760, and I've done my own check, my own due diligence about MT760 and actual kind of framework on bank guarantees. I used to work in a bank, in a big American bank, quite a long ago, and I have a lot of friends that are still in the bank field, and among those my friends, several of them are involved in bank guarantees and these kind of things. And I specifically contacted them and we talked about bank guarantees. And you know what those people told me? They told me if a bank guarantee does not have a verbiage which is connected to the agreement, then there is no sense to do bank guarantee. Bank guarantee is actually is it has a very simple has a very simple purpose, right? The purpose is to make both sides safe. Because if you say that actual MT760 is an actual payment, then what's the point of bank guarantee? Why do bank guarantee and pay money to the bank if it's a transfer money, right? So what's the point? So if you could actually explain me why, if MT760 is an actual transfer, then explain me why people are ready to pay up to 2% as the fee for MT760, and if it doesn't cover if it's not giving them any kind of security. So just explain me that. And also, like, if you have any doubts, the best way, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you that actually believe us, right? Listen to us, and we are the ultimate truth on the market. No, I don't want to say that. But you're free to call to any bank. You're free to call to any bank. If you have a bank account, you can actually come up to your bank and you can ask them about the bank guarantees. The question from Jay, with my 5 million account balance, how am I earning 125 BTC weekly? When do I receive the first payment? You're earning so look how it works. So when you actually sign an agreement and you maintain a balance on your account based on a tier sheet, then the trade happens, right? When the trade works, it generates a profit, and when it's generated the profit is actually then sent to a company that is going to purchase bitcoins for you. So when the profit is received by the company that is going to purchase bitcoins for you, then this company is coming to the seller, buying bitcoins on OTC market and sending it over to you. This is how it works. The first payment is received in 7 days. But usually it happens even earlier. So usually on the fifth banking day, you already start to receive your money, your bitcoins actually. So yeah, I don't see any more questions. So I'd like just to make some kind of a summary. So anyway, the monetization of bank instruments is something not that not that simple, and it definitely take some time to understand what is that. But it's just my recommendation to the middleman and to the agents. Try to offer a bank-to-bank instruments and bank-to-bank offers to the market and ask buyers about whether they know what is trade, because we always openly say that the nature of these offers is the trade. Try to talk about that with your buyers, and if the buyer knows what is trade, they gonna clearly understand how it works, and you're gonna have not so many questions about that. You can then directly connect us to your buyer, and we can explain the exact way how it works. We have all the document net framework, we have all the explanations, and we know how to explain what is safe, why it is safe. So it's very important. Jay, the 42 days payout is the period of time when the buyer is going to get all the bitcoins on his account according to the agreement. It's related to ID12, to the Spanish seller. When we talk about the ID17, it doesn't require the block, and only maintenance of the money on the account. Then it's not necessary. It's going to be it's also going to be 2 months altogether, up to 2 months. But the first payout, the first tranche happens sooner. The first tranche happens in 7 days, and sometimes even sooner on the fifth day, as I said. Absolutely. I guess it's Michael, right? So yeah, the mirroring does not affect the account at all. So actually, the block or the tier sheet and the maintenance of the funds is only done in order to withdraw money from the world turnover economy. So this is the major point. So it's not like you do the block and based on the block the trader draws up the credit line. It's not like that. And actually, if you don't believe us, which is I always say that actually you should doubt everything that you hear, specifically on the OTC market, then you're very welcome to see the document framework. The document framework, if we talk about the ID12 that actually can be done on face-to-face, is going to clearly explain you the way how it works. It's very easy. With ID17, it's the same. So the trader himself should actually mirror the balance, and they're gonna trade based on the mirror. But in order to trade, they also need to block the amount of actual funds, because the nature of the banks is that banks do not have their own funds, right? So banks only have figures on the paper. All the money in banks, they are the money of people, right? So in order for them to use money and to trade, they need to actually to force or to persuade people to bring them money, and it's done. So and it's the ultimate reason why the block is requested. It's all the same. This is how it works. Yes, Jay, it's 125 BTC weekly for 2 weeks, correct. But if you have certain requirements from your buyer, so for instance, I want to have like 10k BTC and I want to purchase them in like 1 month and a half, then get back to us, and we're gonna give you the exact calculations on how it's gonna work out and how it's gonna look like in terms of the tranches. So we're gonna be able to give you the whole schedule in written in the file, and we can actually sign the schedule for your buyer in order for him to have a complete understanding how it's going to look like. Yeah, I mean, Jay, client is not, we don't ask the client to trade, right? So we only say if you want to purchase bitcoins with the upfront payments and you don't, and you want it to be super secured and you want to have a discount, then there is this opportunity, right? So I mean, like, we don't try to say that actually it's better than escrow or it's better than I don't know, attorney to attorney, or it's better than something else, right? There are so many options. We only say that actually the discounts are very considerable and the risks are very covered because you don't need to move funds from your account until you're going to get all the amount of bitcoins. And then client sits down with the information that we give to them, right, to him, and he just starts to think about it, but it works for him or not. That's easier. So if it works for him, if he thinks that having fun in his account until the moment he is going to get all the bitcoins is a cool option for him, is a nice option for him, right? And it's a beautiful way of buying bitcoins. He is very welcome. If not, there are escrow offers, there are upfront payment offers, there are for God's sake, there are OTC desks, there is a Coinbase with premium deals, right? There are so many options. I mean, like, no push at all. So if he wants to use another option, he is very welcome. Right. Um, it's been already almost an hour. We are here. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for your questions. If there are any questions that you didn't ask now, but you're gonna probably have them tomorrow, then you're more than welcome to ask. We are here for you. You have my contacts. You have our official Telegram channel. So feel free to contact us and let's talk. Thanks so much for your time on the webinar. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope it was quite interesting for you. Wish you all the best luck. Let's keep in touch. Thanks.